My name is Claire Hall. I am the project manager for the Advancing Workplace Learning project. And I'm going to give you a long title here because we know with government-funded projects, they're very long. So it's a joint project between ABC Life Literacy Canada and the Canadian Literacy and Learning Network. And it's funded by the Government of Canada in partnership with the Government of Canada, their Adult Literacy, Learning and Essential Skills program. So let's have a round of applause for CAF and the funders for making this event possible. The aim of this two-year project has been to reach out to employers and those involved in workplace learning and development. So everyone here, in some way, we all are involved in that. And to help you find ways and to engage in workplace learning and to introduce ideas on opportunities to refresh, learn, and grow skills, and to examine and look at the benefits to that for both employers and employees. Bringing this event to you is an important part of our project outreach. And so now that this isn't an infomercial on advancing workplace learning, I'm going to stop there for now. And I would like to, if you'd like any more information, please feel free to visit our website, or you can talk to me after the event. There's also some business cards around where you can look and get the link for the website. So thank you, CAF, and the presenters and the delegates for coming and making this event happen. What a great venue, and also to be able to have the people here from an industry that supports apprenticeship and continuous learning. And it's, you know, as a backbone to your business. So really, you're all the experts here. We're here just to maybe give you a few ideas and help you to think through some of your own. When we first decided to undertake this event, the series of talks, it started with the idea of how does workplace learning change your life and how does it support you? And what opportunities does it present for you? So during the next hour, please reflect on this question, and we hope it sparks, we hope it is a spark for change and inspiration. We have a great lineup of speakers and some short TED Talks that I think you'll find entertaining and interesting and inspiring. Each brings a unique experience and perspective on learning. We have a learner, a Skills Canada competition winner, and a mentor. We have an education specialist, an employer, and a guest from the creative community. In fact, homegrown. And you'll take notice as you're walking around, there's some pads and some pencils and crayons, and also your red book from the CAF delegates bag. Please feel free to use them. They are great foundational learning tools, and as you will hear about that during one of our TED Talks. So without further, I'd like to now pass it over to Nathan, and each of our speakers I will give them an opportunity to introduce themselves and their perspective. So I'd like to introduce Nathan.
Hi everybody, my name is Nathan Banky and I am a past competitor for Skills Canada. So I'll give you just a little bit of background about myself. I'm a licensed automotive service technician, and I went through an apprenticeship program. Now, I'd like to know, from a show of hands, who here was ever an apprentice? Wow, that's a lot of people. Who here was never an apprentice, has never done an apprenticeship? Okay, for those of you that have your hands up as never being an apprentice, have you experienced workplace learning? Have you learned in your place of work? Have you learned on the job? Yes? Have you had a mentor? For those of you that weren't in an apprenticeship, have you ever had a mentor? Someone that was there guiding you through learning at the workplace. Now, I've been very fortunate because not only did I go through an apprenticeship program where obviously you're doing all of your learning at work plus your theory and stuff at the school, but I was fortunate enough to get involved in the Skills Canada competitions. Show of hands, who's familiar with Skills Canada? Everybody? Is anyone here in this room not familiar with Skills Canada? Because that would be a real shame. Okay, good. So everyone knows that that's later this week. Who's going to be there later this week? A few of you guys are going to be there. So when I was a student, I'm originally from Ottawa. I'm from here in Ottawa, went to school at Algonquin College, and I went to school for automotive. So I went through an apprenticeship program. Now, when I was doing that, I actually went through the Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program, which started off even earlier. But then, being at the school and learning, going through the first level of apprenticeship, the teachers came up to myself and one other student, and they said, would you guys be interested in participating in the skills competitions? This was for the Skills Ontario provincial competitions. So I said yes, so did the other guy. We went down to the provincial skills competition. Now, who's attended a skills competition before, a provincial? Everyone? Anyone? Has anyone never attended a skills competition? You've never attended a provincial? Where are you from? Brantford. From Brantford? Brantford? Okay, Brantford, Ontario. Okay, just making sure. Well, you're from Brantford, Ontario, so near Hamilton. So I mean, next spring, in May next year, there's the provincial skills competition held in Kitchener-Waterloo. It was just a couple weeks ago. You should definitely get over there and check it out. It's very much worthwhile. But for anyone that's ever been to a skills competition, you're familiar with how much energy there is, and everyone that's there, all of the students that are there that are learning. And the whole purpose of the skills competition isn't just to show who's best, but also to learn through doing. Now, some examples. I'll give you an example. The first skills competition that I ever went to, one of the areas that they had for the skills competition, again, this is in automotive, was for engines. And the way the skills competition is set up, it's timed. You have a judge standing over your shoulder. You're there with all these other competitors. Everyone there is really stressed out. You don't know what's going on. You don't know what's happening. And so we get to one of these stations for engines. Is anyone here relatively knowledgeable about automotive stuff? I saw one of the guys, Gord's over there somewhere. I saw Gord in the corner. So here we were for engines. Competition, you're sweating, the judge is standing over your shoulder. They gave us a part of an engine called a camshaft. They just handed us a camshaft. Here it is, on the table. Here's part of a car. And if I handed it to you, you'd hold it in your hands, you'd look at it. Okay, cool, it's a part of a car. It's pretty obvious. And what they asked us was specific questions for this component. And all of the questions required deductive, critical thinking to understand. They were asking us from this camshaft that they handed us on the table. They said, okay, what is this out of? What car is it from? What type of engine? What's the firing order of this engine? What is the valve location? What are all the, and they were asking us all this information just based off of this one part that you're sitting there holding in your hands and you're going, I have no freaking clue what's going on right now, right? And there's all these examples that we can give through the skills competitions and through learning in the job, learning through the experience that really make the difference. Now, I've been very fortunate since then as well. I went on to compete nationally for Canada twice, and I also went to the international competition, the World Skills Competition in Japan. Made it on to Team Canada, and it was a huge experience for me. Now, I've since been involved in the skills competitions, and I've continued learning. You know, I went through my apprenticeship. I became a licensed mechanic, started working in a garage locally here in Ottawa. Then I continued being involved with the skills competitions. I went back and I volunteered and I helped judge. And it was a great experience. And you got to meet so many new people. And it's like coming here today. I was talking about it earlier. And it's like, well, why am I here today? I have so many other things I need to be doing. I'm supposed to be at a wedding right now. Honestly. But so why am I here? What's that? It's not my wedding. Don't worry. I swear it's I hope it's not my wedding because my girlfriend is on her way back home to Quebec City right now. So I hope it's not mine. But why am I here telling you guys different stories and telling you my experiences of how I've learned and how I've gone through the apprenticeship program and the experiences that I've had? Well, the reason that I'm here is because I love learning. I love learning. I love sharing that passion for learning with everyone else. And I see the difference that it makes. When I look at the guy who's getting married today, he's an apprentice. He went through the apprenticeship program. I was one of his mentors. I was a licensed technician in the shop working with him as he was going through and learning. And when you see not only the difference that it makes in someone's life, but you work with someone and you start understanding their ways of learning, their skills. And it changes the way that you talk to them, it changes the way that you work with them. And it's just, you see someone grow and learn and change through their career path. And it's just such a wonderful thing. For me, it's always passionate for me. It gives me more energy. I'm coming here tonight and it's like, well, I just want to share and meet other people who are passionate about learning. And that's kind of where my journey's taken me. For me now, I'm actually here as an exhibitor. My boss just walked into the room. He's over at the booth tonight. And I mean, it kind of comes full circle, because for me, being one of the students, being one of the apprentices, and now coming back through as a mentor, now being an exhibitor at the Canadian Apprenticeship Forum, and here I am talking to everyone here. And it just shows how the paths can come full circle through learning in the workplace, through apprenticeship, through mentoring, and everything else. But that's a little bit of my story. Thank you very much, everybody.
My security blanket. Again, for those of you that have just arrived, this is a series of talks, and it's part of our Advancing Workplace Learning project. And we want to thank CAF for allowing us the opportunity to host this event and hopefully inspire you to look at workplace learning. So now I'd like to invite Pauline, who is our learner, and let her speak a little bit about how workplace learning has supported her life and how it has helped her in the very aspects. How has it changed your life and supported you? So again, as you're hearing everybody speak, just think a little bit about that question. So now I invite Pauline up.
Hi, my name's Pauline. I have dyslexia, so sometimes I read things a little backwards. I am a caretaker for the Toronto District School Board and learning different ways. How to do the job, by what you do and how you do it, by learning the different scent of the products, by asking what they are used for. People who have reading problems can hide it very well by using pictures, asking questions like, hey, what does this do? Where does it go? You tell them. You tell them how to do it, and that's how they learn, not by reading. Reading problems and problems. The problem is it can become a health and safety issue for the company and for the employees. Here's why. If you, the company, order cleaning products to clean the workplace, like Pine Quad disinfectant, it's lemony smell, it's yellow. You order disinfectant, Pine Quad apple green. It has an apple green smell, it's dark green. It's used for washrooms. You order Patriot 3, it's dark pink, it's for floors. You ordered hand soap, it's light pink for washrooms. But the company doesn't tell you that they change who they buy the product from. You don't know. They don't tell you. There is no color-coded system for you to go by. It's gone. They threw it out the door. You're on your own. Now the hand soap that is dark green, not light pink, and you don't know the name. But you don't know that because you cannot read the label. The body, nobody told you or showed you the difference between the product and what it is used for. You put the wrong product in the washroom hand soap. Someone gets hurt because you could not read the label and you did not know the color-coded chart, and for that had changed that you were using. There is no color-coded chart for the chemical products in your workplace. It has been removed. To reinforce the employees to understand the color-coded charts. The color-coded charts should be reinforced. Employees should reinforce WMIS at the workplace, or at least once a year, to make sure that all employees understand and that the and how it affects the workers. Not everyone reads the same. Does anyone have any questions?
Thank you, Pauline. I just wanted to mention, since Pauline has started her journey on learning, she is now very involved in the union and taking a very active role. And I think that's amazing. And an inspiration to me to continue learning. And now I would like to invite Tracy up, who to speak a little bit on how learning has supported you and changed yours. After that, we're going to take a short 3-minute TED video, which is a really fun one that we can all learn. So I'd like to introduce Tracy.
So my name is Tracy Defoe, and I'm an adult educator who specializes in learning at work. And I'm from Vancouver, British Columbia. Really? Yeah, woohoo! That's my union leader. I'm really happy to be here today. She's my rep. That's cool. And she's supporting me, so thank you, thank you. I'm really happy to be here today to talk about learning because it is my passion too. I'm a evangelical lifelong learner, and I make my my living by helping people learn. How did I get started in that? I was thinking today about myself as a little kid. I was that skinny little girl, first one at the door at grade 1, always eager, always excited, always trying to help other people with their work. So no surprise to anybody that I grew up to be an instructor. And as a young adult, I was very fortunate to be kind of adopted and drafted into a learning community at university. And I became a teaching assistant and then an instructor. And the researchers, the instructors and teachers who mentored me and took me under their wing really encouraged me to try new things and to figure out which puzzles of learning were interesting to me and then to follow those as far as I could. And it wasn't very long before the workplace became the puzzle that I was personally most interested in. Because in the workplace, I found the front lines of adult learning. That's what I always say. These are the front lines. This is where it gets real. And sometimes some of the highest risk learning for people, because it's their livelihood, or as we just heard from Pauline, it could be their health and safety too, could be other people. So in the workplace, I found puzzles of learning that I found particularly compelling, possibly high risk and certainly high reward. And so for 30 years or so, I have been specializing in the ways people learn at work, how they learn, how they apply their foundational skills. We even used to call them basic skills. We call them workplace essential skills now. How they apply those things, how they teach each other. I am a big enthusiast of peer learning, doing some research, developing something that people can teach each other in the workplace. And then, of course, applying those things to the real problems that happen at work. The reason the workplace is an especially rich learning environment is it's full of problems, right? I've never been to a workplace that couldn't tell you all of the problems that they had. And so for me, in my work, I am excited and involved a lot in problems that come from tech change, which some of you will know a lot about, change in regulations, which can change the way people work, change, of course, in the market or in customer demand, and changes in communication, changes in the way people are going to problem solve together. And what have I learned from that? Well, I think one of the things I've learned over the years is to become a very deliberate listener. I'm somebody who tries always to listen to every single side of the story and then to observe what I actually see going on myself. I think I've also become somebody who's applied all of her puzzling abilities to figuring out what's going on and to helping people help each other overcome the barriers to learning. And all of those things give me a really great feeling. And I only have like a few minutes for this talk, so I'm going to pick one story to tell you about a learner. And this is your classic Canadian older middle-aged gentleman who works in a very high, heavy industry, I think we could call that, so that I don't name him. A heavy industry, and I was there to help puzzle out, to tease out the math and the other kinds of group skills that was involved in a big tech change in his workplace. And, once we're in the workplace doing those kinds of analysis and training together, everybody knows there's a teacher at the workplace. And so this guy kept coming back to the place where I had my little desk, and he would stand in the door. He never came in the room. He would stand in the door and ask me some question, and then he'd go away, and 3 days later, stand in the door and ask me, what time will you be back on Thursday, and things like that. And I knew he had something else he wanted to talk to me about. And finally, he told me that he wanted to ask me about getting his high school equivalency, and not because of the changes he saw in his workplace, but because of his family. He had a daughter in grade 11 who wanted to drop out of math and maybe drop out of high school because she was really struggling in school. And he said, when I said to her, don't do that, she said, well, you did. And he didn't feel he had a parental leg to stand on. And so one of the happy times of that beginning of my career was I invited the daughter in to the workplace, and I got her a tutor and we got him a tutor, and they both completed their high school together. So over her grade 11 and 12 year, he picked up and finished his high school diploma as well. But the moment for me that was the moment where I got all goosebumpy and cried in public, was at the Word on the Street. And I don't know if you've ever been to the Word on the Street festival, but it's a book festival across Canada in the early fall. I was at the Word on the Street in Vancouver at a poetry slam, which is where poets recite in kind of a hip-hop way usually and perform their poems. And I looked over, and here's this guy and his daughter. And I went running up to them and said, so glad to see you. What made you come down today? And he said, we heard on the radio that there was a festival today downtown for readers and writers. And I looked at my daughter and said, that's us. Let's go. So that's the kind of great feeling that I think I can get from my job. And I know that all of you work somewhere. And even though, as Pauline said, people are good at hiding it, lots of people are hoping that they'll run into that person who knows how to overcome that next barrier in their career or the next part of the puzzle of their life. And probably most of the people in this room are in a really good position to take a moment and listen and observe and maybe reach out their hand and help somebody achieve the next place they can go in their family or in their job. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Scott, and it's true. I am the artistic director of a small theater company here in Ottawa called the Company of Fools. As I'm fond of saying, that makes me the big fool. Thank you. Thank you very much. My father-in-law, when he visited last year, was like, he's a bit of a grammar Nazi, so I don't include him as a friend on Facebook because it just gets ugly. He was like, shouldn't you be, technically speaking, the biggest fool? And I did have to remind him that I live in Ottawa in the shadow of Parliament Hill, and so I cannot claim that distinction in this city. So. I'm really pleased and excited to be here. You've heard a lot of great speakers already who have a really strong connection to learning, and I'm here to be the idiot, essentially today, because in the modern world, we seem to think that any idiot's information and knowledge is as good as any other idiot's information and knowledge, which is why we have Rob Ford. So. I'm not wrong, though. I'm not wrong. So I know nothing. I really know nothing. I'm a child of the 80s. I was a punk, and I'm a military brat. So I grew up, we moved every couple of years, and I grew up knowing one thing. And that one thing is that I was wrong. I grew up knowing I was wrong because whenever you go to a new city, the clothes that they wear in that new city, they're not the clothes the cool kids were wearing in the old city, which I'd finally managed to convince my mom to buy me after 2 years. So I arrived thinking, now I'm going to fit in, and I didn't. I was always wrong. And of course, I had a military father, and it was the 80s, the age of rebellion and punk, so everything I wanted to do was wrong at home. And so I learned one important thing. I was wrong, and of course, the response to being wrong is to then assume that no, everybody else is wrong. I'm 100% right. And I entrenched myself. I calcified my ways of thinking into a rigid code, just as rigid as anything that I was apparently rebelling against as a young punk. I know I don't have hair now, but I did. It was in the spike even. I had the spiky hair. And then one day, I learned how to do something called improvising. I learned to improvise. And the use in improvisation in the worlds of business and commerce is so well known and documented now, and so many companies use improvisers that I'm not going to turn this into an infomercial, although I could. And if you book me today, I'll throw in a set of steak knives. But improvisation really did change my life. And the reason that it changed my life is because improvisation taught me to fail. It taught me to get things to be wrong. It didn't teach me that I was a failure. Kind of in my heart, I'd already sort of internalized that in that shitty way that we all do when we're young and rebellious. I already thought, I'm a terrible failure, therefore I will become a punk and be horrible. It'll be awesome. But improvisation taught me to fail. And it's a skill that I had not learned in any other place. In school, I was never taught to fail. In school, I was taught I must succeed. I had to know all of the useless pieces of information that I didn't want to know. And I had to know the exact way to do the process, even if I might think that there might be some other way to do that process. In school, I only learned that I must succeed, and I was frustrated because I couldn't. Improvisation told me, it's actually not about succeeding. Succeeding doesn't get you anywhere. Succeeding's actually kind of boring. What you need to do is to fail. And Keith Johnson, an improvisational guru, once remarked that nobody comes to the theater to watch an improviser get it right, just like nobody actually goes to a car race to watch the car get around the track. They kind of want to see something wrong happen. Now, I'm not suggesting that you should all let your workplaces go to hell and throw safety out the window here, but learning to fail is the single most important thing anyone can do in their life. Because learning to fail makes you realize that failing isn't so bad. Like, what's the worst possible thing that could happen here if I came up and I totally tanked this presentation? What's the worst thing that could happen? Okay, so you'd think really poorly of me. You might remember the company fool's name. When I asked you for money in 2 years' time as a sponsorship, you wouldn't give it to me. I'd lose my house and have to... Actually, it could be really bad. All right, I'll take that back. No, nothing bad is going to happen if I tank this presentation, which is why I didn't even bother preparing for this presentation. I didn't plan my speech at all. I'm totally making it up as I go along.
Enough! Get off the stage!
You're right, that is the worst thing that could happen. But unfortunately, I didn't prepare my own speech, but I asked some people to prepare them for me. I asked a bunch of the people that I was talking with earlier if they could actually write down something that they had either learned or never learned. And so I'm just gonna do somebody else's speech with these cue cards, which I didn't even look at yet. Hopefully, I can read their writing. All right, so I'm just going to take this one. Something I never learned. I have learned to check with people what words mean for them. Example, cooperate or together. I married a Brit. In theory, we share a common language. In practice, we have no words in common at all. Any word that I use, she means something completely different by it. The cultural differences between two people that are apparently from the same set of backgrounds is immense, and it's true. All my life, one of the things improvisation helped me with as well was realize there's more than one perspective. There's more than one reality to the words around us. There's more than one way of understanding them. Isn't this a good speech somebody else wrote for me? It's amazing. I'm going to do one more. Français. I never learned français. I actually did learn français. Je parle français. But damn you, Mr. Becker. See, it is the worst thing. You could remember my name. I remember Mr. Becker. Mr. Becker was a horrible, horrible French teacher, and he made me hate it so much that it wasn't until I started dating a French girl that I actually learned to speak French again, 10 years after I'd got my bilingual certificate. Yeah. I almost started learning Japanese for the very same reason, but then she dumped me, so I do not know how to speak Japanese. So there we go. I use improvisation and I learn things all the time. As somebody in the creative cultural sector, I actually have no idea what I'm doing at any point in time. I have to make it up as I go along. I have to learn from what the people around me are telling me, what it is that I need to do, how I need to create a function. I do corporate gigs all the time where I have to present, do entertainment for people along a corporate vein. I have no idea how to do any of the things that the corporations want me to pretend that I know how to do as I create their thing. But I fake it. Why? Because I listen, I learn, I react, I go. And I do all of this because I'm not afraid to fail. Because I know that no matter how bad something gets, we're going to laugh. Something good is going to come from it. Silence isn't going to kill me. Not knowing what's going on isn't going to kill me. I'll just ask some questions. It's all going to work out. If you don't do anything else in the rest of your life, I urge you to learn to fail. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Scott. I think one of the things I really like about improv is the whole idea about yes. It's always about yes. You have to find some way to make it work. And I think that failing in that yes, if we can create those environments in our workplace, we can support that culture of learning. And speaking about workplaces, I would also now like to invite Guillaume to come up and speak about his experiences.
All right, my name is Guillaume Doiron. I'm the operations slash HR manager for Allsco Windows and Doors in Moncton, New Brunswick. I've been with that company for almost 8 years now. That company's been in business for over 35 years. The reason I'm here today is because we took part in a program over the last couple of years on essential skills, and we've had a lot of success with that program. We've had a lot of great stories. So I'm going to talk about that today. I'm going to give you some examples of things that happened and all of the positive things that came out of that program. We're not done with it because there's still about 30% of our employees that didn't go through that program. And since we've had a lot of success, we want to make sure that everybody has a chance to go through the Essential Skills program. Just to give you a little bit of background on the company that I work for, Allsco. If some of you know Allsco, it's probably not because of our great product. We do build a great product, windows and doors, but unfortunately, I mean, our customers are mostly based in the Maritimes. So if there's a lot of people from out west or that would know about Allsco, it's probably because in the late 1990s, early 2000, we've had some problems. We've had a lockout that lasted for 4 years. Today, it's still one of the longest that in Canada history. So unfortunately, I mean, that is something that we had to go through. But again, at that time, I wasn't there, but I started not too long after that, and that's one of the things that I've noticed or that I learned while I started there. They had about probably 175 employees, but they didn't have any HR department. There was nobody that was responsible of HR. Basically, the plant manager would do a little bit of this, and then the person in accounting, the controller, would do a couple of other things. But they had nobody that was responsible of the employees, responsible of communication, responsible of training. So I mean, there was a big lag there. So I mean, it was a good thing for me because I mean, like I said, there was nobody there before me. So I mean, how could I fail? That's what I thought anyway. Didn't go really like that, but for sure, I mean, there was a lot of opportunities to do something for the employees and try to give them the tools to be better. And I really do have a passion for employees, and I think learning is a big part of it. It's a big part of it, and that's why for us, again, that essential skills training was really important. We really jumped into it and really believing that there were some great things that would come out of that, and it did happen. I mean, for our employees that went through the program, most of them, I mean, the essential skills now, they have learned how to communicate better. They have learned how to work as a team better. They have learned how to read document the proper way, like recognize the information that's important on those documents. And I mean, we've come a long way. Just to give you an example, when I started, when employees wanted to communicate, normally when they wanted to talk to me, it was not a good sign. It's normally because they wanted to give me a grievance or something like that. So it was basically because there was something wrong. There's something that they wanted to argue, they wanted to change. So I mean, and now we've come a long way. There's a lot. The managers are a lot more involved. I mean, most managers go on the floor on a daily basis, and the communication is a lot better, and we work a lot better as a team, which I think is very important because in our industry, we've had some good years, but since 2011, so for the last 3 or 4 years, the market really went down. The market really went down, so we've been through some tough times. And I mean, when I started, like I said, about 175 employees. Now we're down to about 75. Okay, so it's very, very competitive. It's very competitive, and so that's one of the things that being into a competitive industry like that. I mean, Moncton is probably the Greater Moncton area is probably 100,000. People, and there's 6 or 7 windows and doors company. So I mean, it's a lot for a small place like that. So, and everybody's pretty much using the same equipment. Everybody has the same challenges with the economy. There's only so many customers. So the area where we really felt that we could could gain an edge over our competitors was again with our employees. By training them, by giving them the tools they needed to be more successful, they would perform better, they would be more efficient, and so far we were pretty much dead on. We are able to do a lot more right now than we were when we had 50 or 60 more employees. So that is a good thing for us, and that's probably one of the major reasons why we're still in business today. So I guess for me, learning it's very important. The day that you're not learning anything, I think to me you're going backwards. There's people that are going ahead of you. So again, from my experience and from what I've seen, basically, I think it's very important, and that it had a big impact, and it really proves that to me, if you invest in your employees, if you invest in your people, in your organization, they will invest in you. They will stay longer, and they will bring more for you, for your company. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Guillaume. I'm just so happy to have everybody, the speakers that are here, because I think each speaks to their own experiences with how they've built learning into their workplace and their work in their lives and use it to support. And we started off with somebody who was an apprentice, who has gone through the trades, who went through the Skills Canada competitions and, and did very well with it. We'd like to now finish with somebody we can say is somebody really famous within the apprenticeship forum or apprenticeship world. And because I think everybody, as I say, every speaker's brought their own unique perspective. But I'd like to introduce Ken, who has been a long-time supporter of Skills Canada and a mentor, and I'll let him talk a little bit more about that. And so I'd like to invite Ken.
I wanted to know who she was talking about there for a minute. My name's Ken Heather, and I'm a welding instructor at Red Deer College in Red Deer, Alberta. The only reason why Red Deer exists is exactly between Edmonton and Calgary, and everybody has to pee. So that's why we are actually on the map. This is much like, I was looking at the room, this is great. This is a Friday afternoon theory class when the college's campus bar opens at noon. So I've got all my students and their 2 drinks in, so we're not going to the lab today, I can tell you. So some of the passion and some of the belief I have is about mentorship and mentoring what we're passionate about. I don't believe anybody puts their heart and soul into anything that we're not real passionate about. And everybody does it. Some of us may do it that in just a little different form that goes on to some different formats and levels. My background. So in 1997, 97, that's a long time ago. The provincial and national skills competition was in Red Deer. And Skills Canada came to the college looking for volunteers. And I said, unbeknownst to me at the time, you're telling me there's an organization in this country that promotes trades and technologies to the young people? Sign me up. Well, unfortunately, 17 years later, I'm still there on a big way. It's the type of thing where it's an organization that now we're targeting junior high all the way through to post-secondary to get kids turned on to a passion of trades and technology and showing that passion in many different forms. How I got started, of course, I took welding in high school, and I had a high school teacher that was passionate about what he was teaching. And he saw some good and some will, and he said, you could do well in that trade. So I went on, got my apprenticeship, and worked under a journeyman for 4 years, had the same passion. He believed you do it right the first time, and you won't have to go back and keep doing it. So that's what he taught. Gave me a great outlook to go into what I ended up doing. We're all mentors. We do it in every different way, be it in sports, business, any other way you can see it. There's people all around us and ourselves that do it. So I really want you to understand you're already doing it, but there's many different forms. I think of sponsorship. The skills movement in this country could not exist without the sponsorship from apprenticeship, companies, industry. That's a form of mentorship. It's their way to show this is important. Moving on, I've worked at every level at the skills organization. I coordinate our regional competition in Red Deer. I sit on the provincial technical committee for welding. I sit on the national technical committee. And recently I've been now looking after as the expert for Team Canada for welding. I had the fortunate to train a young man from Calgary for the last 13 months last year who went to Germany to represent Canada at the World Skills Competition. I met Nick Kitt. Yeah, Nick. I met Nick Kitt at the national competition in 2012 as a young, scared, not too sure individual. If I could get a hello out of him at that time, that was a big thing. We worked together for 13 months in many different forms, got to do 2 or 3 other competitions around the world before the world competition. And that young man ranked 12th out of 38 countries that competed in Germany, won a medallion of excellence. He scored, I'll give you an idea of how tight that competition is. Out of 100 marks, the gold medal winner from Korea got 93 marks. Nick got 76. It's a 4-day competition that I would like any one of you to step up and take on that. It is an incredible pressure, but an incredible opportunity. He's gone forward. He now has his journeyman ticket. I talked to him a couple of weeks ago. He had just qualified to get his B pressure ticket in the province of Alberta. He's running his own company, and he has 3 welding apprentices working for him now. So the circle has gone complete. He was at our provincial competition this year as one of our judges. So I've got him hooked. He's in. I can almost step away, I think. But I just want to end with how much I appreciate the opportunity that I get to do through the skills movement. I would be remiss if I don't acknowledge that my institution supports me completely. They value that this is an incredible opportunity for me and for the institution. And if anybody and any one of you ever go and see what I'm talking about, I can stand here all day. Next Thursday, this Thursday, we're going to have our national competition in Mississauga. I would encourage every one of you to come and see it, because until you see it, I can stand here all day and you wouldn't get it. Thank you for this time.
Thank you very much, Ken. And again, that brings us to the end of our formal speakers. And so I'd like to thank you for attending the CAF Trade Summit series of talks, and I hope you enjoyed the experience and have been inspired by the people from different walks of life and to look at learning opportunities. As we know, learning occurs all the time at our workplace, and we hope this event has sparked some ideas of how you can build it into your place to either for yourself or support your employees. Again, I'd like to thank the Canadian Apprenticeship Forum for allowing this to happen. I would also like to thank each of the speakers, Nathan, Tracy, Pauline, Scott, Guillaume, and Ken, who understood the vision of the event and got up to speak. If you'd like to learn more, please join us at our workshop tomorrow. Build your business, increase your competitive advantage through essential skills. We're actually going to be looking at some strategies and some ideas. So go ahead and finish your drinks. I'm going to put on a couple really good TED videos that you may find interesting and humorous, which is also when you may want to get those doodle pads out. As you are leaving, though, I do ask if you wouldn't mind. Our funder likes to know not who, but how many attend our events. So there is a registration form. If you could just put your signature, you don't need your name. And if you would like more information or updates on events, we put your email address in. And also there will be some evaluations out there, and they're very helpful for us to know how we can tweak or improve and refresh. So again, thank you very, very much for attending the event, and I hope it was an interesting evening, or point in the evening, and please enjoy the rest of the summit. Thank you.